Hi, this is Shilpa here, and so it's that magic time of the year, the start of a fresh new year, and this is when naturally all of our thoughts seem to go towards the upcoming year. Or maybe you are reflecting on the prior year and looking at the upcoming one. So I thought I'll do my blog for you at the start of the year around planning and around achievement and creating a life and a practice that you want. And the word that's on my mind right now is intention and focus. So, when I started out 20 years ago, when I started my practice, and I'm sure you've heard this story before, is I the first year I was really struggling. So I had a medical degree in homeopathy, but I hadn't had any real success. I mean, I was struggling to get patients, I was struggling to build my income, I was sort of about to give up. And now I have this global homeopathic practice. I've built a highly successful training academy for natural and homeopathic therapy practitioners for many years. I'm a leader in the field of homeopathic training industry. I conduct these huge online workshops and courses. I'm the author of the world's most user-friendly homeopathic software. And I have thousands and thousands of patients and students across 74 countries. And my students are building highly successful practices. They're helping thousands of their own clients. So I'm really creating an impact on thousands and thousands of patients in the world of health and healing with those ripples. And life has turned around for me. By my measures, I have been extremely successful. But when I think back on how did this shift happen, I think back to 2000, 2001 really. That was when it all started to happen to me, or when I just began to take those baby steps. So at that time, I heard about Stephen Covey's book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And he defined these 7 habits for attaining desirable results by aligning oneself to the true north principles that are universal and timeless. And at that point, I was not very empowered within my life. I mean, I was sort of drifting along. Yes, I had completed my homeopathic medical degree. I had started a new life with Atul, my partner. So there were some great things going on for me, but I really didn't feel like I had much direction in my life or practice. So I found this idea of cultivating habits to get what I wanted while remaining true to universal principles and natural laws really interesting. It seemed sort of holistic and aligned with homeopathy in a way, and I was like, wow, does that actually work? So I started to chip away at it. I started to come up with strategies to do that. And what I've learned over all these years, both from the book and now from experience, is as I look back, I've gotten to know a lot of super successful people who are successful both personally and professionally. So these amazing effective people who are creating this impact in the world. And I look at the commonalities among them and the commonalities among people that I see that aren't having that much success. And what I see tends to be, well, there are a lot of different things, but one of them is this idea, this realization that you actually can change your circumstances, whatever they are, that you are the creator and you are in charge. And if you're going to change your circumstances, I think the best way to do that is by creating the circumstances that you want in your mind first. And it's actually looking deeply at your life and the areas in your life and saying, what do I really want my life to look like in that area? Or what do I want my physical health to look like? What do I want my relationships to look like? What do I want my relationship with my partner, my children to look like? What do I want my practice, my business to look like? And then you start to create a vision in each of these areas for what you want. Now, this is not based around what other people want of you, but by being congruent with your deepest values and your unique gifts and in harmony with what really makes you happy and fulfilled. And only then can you begin to create this in actuality and put systematic strategies in place to align your day-to-day activities around that in order to fulfill it. That's what I call the physical creation. So today, the world's getting really great as pulling away our focus and intention all the time. So we have these technology companies like Facebook, like Google, and there's plenty of others. They have thousands of engineers that are spending all their time trying to create an environment for you where they can grab your attention and they can control your attention. And this is not to make them bad, it's their business and it's the way they make their money. But what's happening is we are finding ourselves in these super immersive environments that are so addictive, and that's what they have planned for you in a way. So something that we've never really seen in the world, where a group of people are working hard to grab your attention 24/7 and have you move through the day like a zombie. And the only way you can fight that is by putting as much effort you can into defining your own focus and your own true north, and intentionally living your life and your experiences throughout your day by putting in as much effort into that focus as they are into grabbing your attention and holding your attention. So I'll give you one example of focus that I have had around the area of my physical health. It's been about 2 years. So I've been doing this thing called a sugar-free 6-day week. And what that means is that for 6 days, I'll go without sugar. So basically, it's super simple. All I do is, from Sunday to Friday, I go without sugar, including any hidden sugars in my food. And on Saturday, I indulge on any of my sweet favorite treats and desserts. Now, I'm not saying you should do this. It's just something I've been doing. I'm not the world's greatest expert on this, and I'm not the only one who's doing this, but I'm just sharing. Because generally, I eat pretty healthy food, and I'm not doing this to lose weight. I'm just doing it for my overall long-term health, and that I'm convinced through my research that it might help my overall general health. And what I've noticed is it's made me super intentional about food. Because before, during the week, whenever I was out for coffee or lunch or, meeting people, I'll eat some cookie or a biscuit or a muffin for my morning or afternoon tea. And well, now I know that once I finish my favorite dessert on Saturday night, then if I put any sugar in my mouth during that week, that's going to eliminate any favorite treat I can have on that Saturday. So let's say if during the week, if I'm thinking of having some chocolate or some ice cream after dinner or whatever, then I know it means I have to wait an entire fortnight before I can have my next treat. So it just makes me think twice about what I'm putting in my mouth instead of just grabbing something and putting in my mouth during the week. So I've become more intentional about food. I'm more intentional about what I put in my mouth, and now it's just a natural part of my habit and lifestyle. I don't have to think about it. And that's the thing about being focused, is that once you're focused in one area, it leads to being focused in each area. It just becomes a snowball effect. So instead of just grabbing your phone and instantly opening up WhatsApp or Facebook and Instagram, and all of a sudden 30 minutes are gone, you flip through these photos, you flip through these things, and you know what? You probably don't feel any better after spending half an hour on that. So what I'm saying is, as you get more focused in one area, you will end up becoming more focused in each area. So let me give you another examples. So I'm shooting this from my Blue Mountains cottage, which has been my new focus I've had since the middle of last year. And basically every weekend, which is the time when we drive to the mountains, I just block it off my calendar and say, that's my mountain weekend. And I'm going to be disconnected from my business no matter what. So this is just one of my other focus. So I like to trek, I like to bushwalk, I love to get outside, I love to be in the mountains. I just love to have a great mountain lifestyle immersed in nature. And we live in an era of pretty much limitless opportunity, and especially someone in my shoes, once you start to build up some momentum and build up a global practice and create an online training academy, it really is pretty much almost limitless opportunities. And there are never-ending projects, there are never-ending people that want to get on my calendar and want to schedule calls and want to bring opportunities to me. So there are never-ending opportunities to see patients, to create courses, to shoot videos. And what I've noticed a year ago is I wasn't getting in as much disconnection time from my business as I would have liked. So I just went in and scheduled those weekends for the family. Usually, what the mountain weekend looks like is I get up in the morning, I get to my vegetable garden, which is just at the back of the house, and Atul and I learned to make our own compost from worms, which I never dreamt in my life, and we started growing our favorite vegetables. And our focus was to plant a new plant each week. And then we get on in our walking shoes, and for the first 2/3 of the day we go bushwalking. We select a new tracks from the thousands of tracks around in the mountains and little trails, and then we come home, we cook from the fresh produce, and in winter sometimes we chop our own wood for the fire. And some weekends we might schedule friends who can come up over, and we trek with them. But most weekends it's just time with us as a family. And some winters are really cold here, and it's just sort of hard to get out, but it's just the principle of the thing. It's our disconnection weekend from our work, from our business. It's time to just get up here. And this is actually our first summer break of the year. It's school holidays, so we've come up for an entire month. So even during the work week, I try and get an hour or two after work each day in the garden, or I schedule a mini walk, or I paint a few pictures around the house, so I know. So this isn't the lifestyle that a lot of people are going to want. Not everyone wants to go bushwalking or trekking every weekend. Not everyone wants to grow a vegetable garden and have their own vermicompost, but that's just ours. And so it's all a part of that life and business that I've created, a business and a life that allows me to do what I love doing, at the same time create an impact that I want through my gifts. So you know what, I come here even during those crazy times, when I've launched my HomeQuest next generation software. I launched my online courses, my books, my webinars, when I was working about 16 or 17 or 18 hours a day each week. And I used to come up here because I know when I'm getting out in the mountains and I'm exercising and I'm getting that fresh air and I'm having fun, that enhances my productivity. So I don't feel guilty about it. And I'm really hardcore. I just block it off and I go do it. So we set our time and we drive Friday night after my last client. And I get up here and we have that disconnection time. We just spend time together as a family. We cook some great weekend food. But again, it's just about intention and focus. And first defining, what do you really want in your life and business? So when you can see it and feel it and experience it, only then you can physically create it. It's the natural emergence of the process. So now the question is, how will you get all focused about in this upcoming year? Now, in any type of mental creative process, there's really two ways to look at this. One is from top down, other is from bottom up. So by top down, I mean when you get the vision, where you start off with this really big picture vision with the end in mind, and it's like a bird's eye view of your goal. And you have this big vision. It could be for your practice, it could be for anything, but you want to know what the outcome looks like, say 1 year down the track, or you start to drill it down and break it down. Now, a lot of other people also choose the insect view, which is from down up, bottom up. That's when you think of all the separate detailed components, and then you take those components and you work on those components and you start to move up into whatever that vision is. So I'm actually a fan of both of them because, in fact, I think, well, here I'm going to really brag a little bit about it, but I think a lot of my success comes from the ability to look through both views. Finding the balance in the bird's eye view from top and the insect eye view from the bottom, and in each area of my life. So when we think about this, I've been talking about my vision and focus in 2019. One of my ways in when I come into the start of the year is I like to plan my life, what my life is going to look like at the end of that year. I start off with this really bird's eye view. So for example, one of my big personal value and mission is I want to live life with integrity and make a difference in the world in real health and healing. And then I look at each area of my life and the roles that I have to fulfill this mission this year. So, for example, I have a role as an individual, as a wife, as a mother, as a teacher, as a practitioner, as a mentor, as an entrepreneur. And each of these roles are so important for me. So I look at my life in each of those roles and I split down each role. So say, as an individual, I will look at my personal health and ask myself, how can I improve my physical health, my mental, my spiritual health, so I am at my optimal performance this year? What new hobby should I learn to de-stress and create more joy in my life? And relationship, it could be, well, it is your relationships, your partner, your children, your friends, your parenting, and how can I be a catalyst for Atul and Smith so they can fulfill their vision and goals this year, so they feel more joy and more fulfillment in their lives. As a practitioner, I will look at how can I unblock my stuck cases this year? What new skills do I need to learn to create more momentum in their healing journey? As an entrepreneur, I will look at how can I create more and more impact in the world of health and healing, through my students, through my clients, through my trainers, through my homeopathic and natural therapy community. And how can I reach more students, who need it, to offer trainings that can fulfill the gaps in their knowledge and their skills so they can have an even better success rate and even better results for their clients. And how can I reach more trainers that have the knowledge that will create the impact that my students are looking for, so together we'll create this huge impact in the world of healing. And when you look at each role, then you create a more balanced natural ecology necessary to effective living. So you don't neglect your personal health for your work or your personal relationship for your professional success, and vice versa. And they reflect your deep values and your unique gifts. And I find it really worthwhile to get Atul's goals as well. So together we are moving in the same direction. So there are usually 6 or 7 or 8 areas I define each year. They can vary over year to year, but I'll look at each area and I'll create a vision for each area. That's top down. And when I create a vision for each area, I also do a bit of review in the area. So for example, if I think the value of this process is in the debriefing. So it's like looking back at what you did the prior year and said, where am I right now? What worked the year before? What do I need to do differently? What didn't work last year? And what do I want more of this year? So I'll create a vision for each of these areas. And from that vision, I'll create either, I'll create goals. So if you can create a vision for each of those areas, what I'm doing is I'm defining a lot of work for you. I know, I'm sorry for that, but this is how you focus and you create an amazing life and practice, and which is balanced and holistic. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be a sentence or two, but literally I'll take days doing this. It will take several days sometimes at the start of the year, this time, and defining my vision for the year. And then I work from there. I go into my goals. And if you have 8 areas, you might have 24 to 30 goals if you have 2 or 3 goals in each. And the only problem is it's hard to go after 30 goals. So then I try and narrow it down and say, what are the really big ones? I call them my big rocks. What are the really big rocks? This is all top down. And then I also go bottom up. I like to say, what is the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 thing I need to put in my calendar every day? So I need to put in my calendar to drive that overall vision for the overall life. That's bottom up. So in the coming month, I'm going to talk about how I made this work in the area of my homeopathic practice. How did these goals and the work to create all this work to create my successful practice? How do you move from that mental creation into physical creation? But right now, I'm inviting you, instead of coming up with some resolution, and it's really an overused and overabused word, because a word comes from the word resolve. And you say, I resolved to do something this year, and by the 2nd or the 3rd week of January, you've forgotten what you've resolved to do. Instead, what I like to do is create this amazing, compelling vision. Intentionally create that vision for what your life is going to look like in the coming year, in the coming 5 years, 25 years, go for it. Create that vision and then use that mental vision to strategically drive your life. I mean, the reality is that we are talking about core change. Any core change is really hard. There's nothing easy about undergoing change. It's a lot easier to just keep on doing what we've been doing. But if you can sit down, create that vision, that is big work. It's not easy work. I'm shooting this video. I'm making it sound easy. It's not. It's not easy. But your life doesn't change overnight. But you know what? Your life can change overnight. All it takes is that strong vision and really becoming invested in that vision and seeing what you can create this coming year. So I'm Shilpa Bharaskar. Wherever you are watching this, scroll down, leave a comment for me. Tell me what your number one focus is for this year, and let's go get it out there this week. Thank you.